want to start the next meeting? So,
Sure.
we're all set, okay? I'll call the meeting to order at, what is that, 7:20 PM, and we have quorum, and I'm going to hand the chair to Councillor Kubrek. Councillor Kubrek.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Protective Services Standing Committee meeting, January 7th, 2025, has been called to order. Second item on our agenda is review. Item A is agenda, and we will need a motion to.
I move that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Okay. Seconded by Councillor Heaton.
Sorry, I thought we were gonna add NTPC.
You can't discuss it till it's actually a motion open, and then it
Oh,
comes.
it needs to be
Discussion.
a motion and seconded, and now it's open for discussion.
Okay.
Well, maybe we, like, when do we do that? Do we do that when we're doing the agenda, or do we do that under their other business?
No.
The way he's walking you through right now, so you call the motion, and then he says, is there any discussion or anything to be added?
Okay.
Once it's an
Yeah.
actual motion on the table,
And we can add it.
then you can discuss.
Understood.
So taking that, have we,
Do we have a
the motion is
second?
made?
It's been a motion
Call
made,
discussion?
seconded, discussion.
Okay, so I'd like to add under other business, the business of NTPC Howard.
I'll make the motion.
That's so wrong, NTPC.
NWTPC.
NWTP.
Is there a W in there? I thought it was just NTPC.
It is NTPC.
It is.
Oh. Oh, it is right.
I think they dropped the W a while ago.
No, I got it mixed up with NTPC.
Okay, so we just have the one addition to the agenda.
I'd also add, do we have to table the approval of the minutes to our next meeting? If we don't have-
Very good.
Good catch, bro.
Good, yeah, very good catch.
Okay.
Yes, then, so, and table,
Item B of review.
yeah. Table to the February 4th, I believe I saw.
Okay. Any further changes to the agenda? Seeing none, is the mover in favor, seconder in favor? The motion as amended? All in favor of the motion as amended? Passed unanimously. Item B of the agenda has been tabled. Item C under review is vision and values, and I will take it everybody has reviewed those, looked them over. No comments. Item D is declaration of financial interest. None were filed. Moving on to item C, Director's Report. Protective Services Report for December, SAO.
Regrets from the Director of Protective Services. He was unable to get daycare tonight, childcare tonight. So his report is contained within the package as well. I have a couple extra just discussion items to bring forward from him. I just asked him if there's anything else he wanted to discuss tonight. And just to add to his report is that December is generally a quiet month. They did see a really high volume of challenging EMS calls. The team is working on providing greater access to mental health support for volunteers to access. The health center has also reached out proactively to support this initiative. In the Northwest Tel outage and the NTPC outages were managed by the Protective Services Group. Alertable was utilized for communications through the advisory non-intrusive alerting option. And the town staff all did a great job supporting the communications and response preparedness efforts. And Carl Cox, a long-standing and valued member of our department, has officially retired. We would like to acknowledge all that he has done for the community and to thank him for his service. He will be missed. We look forward to working with him as part of the new council.
Very good.
You've all had a chance to review the report provided by the Director of Protective Services. Are there any specific questions I could try to answer or take note of?
Don't have so much as the question is,
Are you, who's the chair? Sorry.
I am.
Sorry.
Mike, Councilor.
Counselor Heaton.
I'm happy to hear that the health center is reaching out for, is this the same, room that the RCMP were talking about, the mental health room?
I will have to get back to you on that. I believe it's just providing supports.
Oh, but not the actual mental health room that the
No, not
RCMP
the
had
secure room.
requested, right? Okay.
I believe the volunteers are struggling. It's been a hard few months for them, and I think the volunteers have been struggling, and there's just more mental health supports that are being made available to them in tandem with the health center.
Counselor
I can
Carroll.
answer officially hers because I'm on the health board. No, it is not the secure room that you're talking about. That is still to be completed.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Keiser, or Deputy Mayor Keiser.
Yeah. And in the report, you mentioned the power outages this week, and as somewhat acting mayor, Dean was out of town, Mayor was out of town, so I had to get caught up really quick on what our role was. What if the power didn't come back? What if? So I read the town's emergency plan, and we did a really good job, guys. And that credit goes to our protective services team. So I'd like to formally say, I don't know if this is the right place, but I'd like to formally say to them, well done. The messages were out there, the warming center was done, the contacts were made, and according to our emergency plan, they handled everything, because I read the whole thing that night, thinking, what if I have to step up as deputy mayor? And I didn't have to, which was also really somewhat comforting. But yes, they did a really, really good job, and I think in a time when everybody's stressed, they need to do that. So, well done.
I'll make sure that's passed on. Thank you.
And just to quickly add to that is, I think the use of the alert, notifying people on their phones, updating them was also a very good use of resources and an asset to our people sitting there in the dark wondering what's going on. Writing notes by candlelight. Okay, any further questions regarding the Councilor Heath?
Thank you. Under fire EMS training activities that are coming up within the new year, is it possible for protective services to look into mental health training?
I can definitely relay that on to the director.
Then they'll be really, really certified if you're a volunteer EMS firefighter within Fort Smith, and with the increase of mental health concerns that I assume that they're dealing with when they come to houses, maybe just a little bit more security for them to deal with it properly.
Thank you. Any further questions regarding Councilor or Deputy Mayor Keiser?
Just one I think everybody saw, but I just want to draw attention to as well, is the reference to the unfortunate wind out of Northwest Nearlies and what that's going to do to our volunteer base. If you gleaned over that paragraph, go back and read it again, because it's sobering in the sense of how many of Northwest Nearlies employees have been there for us in many roles, firefighters, ambulance drivers, whatever, and what that's going to mean for us. So just again, as council, we heard from them on their very first briefing about how they're all at 150%, how hard they're all working. I think Protective Services is just taking a bit of a whack in their staff base, not counting Mr. Cox's retirement, but they've taken a loss there. So I think we should, as council, be aware of that. If you didn't notice that paragraph, notice it. Is my point, I guess.
Councilor Heath?
I actually have a question, like, are we as town council members allowed to volunteer for EMS? I mean, I guess you were on there, so, okay.
Why
Yeah.
not?
When's the intake, or it's just continuous?
Just talk to Adam.
Copy that.
You will be
Sounds all
absorbed.
Okay.
Any further questions regarding the report? final note, just as Chair of Protective Services, again to thank Councillor Cox for his dedicated years and years of service, and hopefully you enjoy your retirement from that portion of civic services. Again, thank you. Okay, next item on our agenda is administration. No items were brought for, SAO.
No items brought forward, just to reiterate in that I have asked the directors in each of their standing committee reports to give an outline of vacancies as per council's request. The director noted the volunteerism and the impact on our volunteers is a follow of that. Currently though, he has no permanent staff vacancies, but each director will be including within the report going forward in regards to vacancies and what efforts are being made for recruitment.
Councillor Harrison.
Do we need a motion to accept the report as presented?
Typically, no.
Okay.
No,
I think I asked that at the
I feel
last
like
meeting.
just the director of corporate services really wanted one, so I let that go last time.
Okay, back to the agenda. Item D was administration, and there was no items under administration. Moving on to other business, we have an addition to the agenda, which is the NTPC Power Corporation power issues. And at this point, I would like to hand the chair over Mr. Karasek.
Well, I wanted to speak, but I'll take it for
Oh.
now. No, that's
Okay,
fine.
yeah.
Okay, I'll take the chair. Councilor Coonrod.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Under the prompting of Councillor Heaton, this item came up and it was sort of a bit infuriating, sitting there in the dark as well. Is concerns that we've had over the years, and this is not a new concern, with regards to the reliability of the supply of power under circumstances where we're on diesel power, which we've been on for the last 18 months. We're supposed to been on for 6. We're now counting 18 months and counting. And the Power Corporation had always assured us that the community had adequate backup power available. I was a bit concerned while sitting in the dark, trying to keep up with what was going on, looking at the updates that were being provided. And the initial update indicated that the Power Corporation was experiencing a distribution issue, referencing feeders and things like that in their messaging. A few hours later, the messaging comes out and they're talking about generation capacity issues. I do have a reasonable knowledge of power generation issues, and the differences between issues related to distribution and issues related to generation are basically very, very distinct issues. We have talked to the Power Corp on many occasions about inadequacies in the capacity of their local distribution system. And from reading an article today, part of the issue was distribution. So this was a demonstration that there are significant issues with distribution. Generation normally shouldn't be an issue because we're supposed to be on a hydro plant which has megawatts of excess capacity, so we should never have to worry about the ability to generate adequate capacity. But there are periods that we will always have to rely on backup diesel. And I'm really concerned after this that with the age of their infrastructure and things like that, that the diesel capacity in this community is now significantly in question. But we're going on a lot of assumptions here. So I am suggesting that we put forward a motion to get clarification on what the actual problem or problems were on Friday so that we can make a sound case for moving forward with some either recommendation, intervention to the Public Utility Board, or some appropriate action to trigger the Power Corporation into making significant advances on addressing these issues on our behalf. It wasn't great. 7 hours at minus 25. I'm surprised we did not have more significant damage to residential buildings. God knows how many people have lost equipment because of the extended brownouts during these outages and things like that. And unless you can claim it on personal insurance, the Power Corporation is going to find 101 different ways to be able to decline or to basically say they are not responsible for you yet. So they're not going to pay a penny in lost equipment expenses unless we have a legitimate argument. And this is the start of that process of putting the facts on the table so that we can make appropriate arguments. So I did circulate the proposed motion that I will read out now. I would like to propose or recommend that the mayor immediately contact NTPC seeking full clarification and disclosure of the causes of the prolonged power outage in Fort Smith on January 3rd, 2025. In addition, the town of Fort Smith seeks an update regarding the timelines for the recommissioning process for the Tolson Hydro Plant upgrade project, including an appropriate date of when the hydro facility will return to its full functioning capacity. Furthermore, if the primary causes of the prolonged outages were related to distribution issues, what immediate steps will the NTPC undertake to rectify those conditions, and will the NTPC consider moving their investment in local distribution system upgrade project for completion no later than 2027. Also, that this correspondence be copied to the minister responsible for NTPC, Minister Wozniak, and the NWT Public Utilities Board.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second.
Councillor Tucky, discussion? Councillor Heaton?
Thank you. I think that we all are in agreement that we're grateful for the NTPC employees who had to deal with this mess for 7 hours in the cold on Friday. This is no way, we're not judging your work ethic or anything, but the serious concern is that we as a community are completely left in the dark, literally, about decisions that are affecting our livelihoods here. Like food security, lost freezers, how much money go into those freezers? Our community is already struggling. You know, in the minister's letter that we as the town of Fort Smith sent out is that our costs have already exceeded 6 figures. And that was sent out in December. I don't understand how this is not a huge concern for this particular minister. And I just want to know, like, what are our options to, activism is what I want to do with it, but I don't know if that's a role I can do as a counselor, right? There's a lot of things that we can do to unite the community, to understand, and then make it uncomfortable for the leadership in Yellowknife. Like, We're living with blackouts monthly. That is bonkers in 2025 and 2024, right? We're already struggling here in Fort Smith. Lots of business closures already. More are gonna continue to come. We're running diesel for 2 years now. Like, I'm just at a loss how they can disregard everything that we're asking. And unless we make it uncomfortable for them on a daily basis, they're gonna continue to disregard us.
Excuse me, Councillor Cravette.
Okay, thank you. This will be my last speaking point to this. First off, I think the local workers of the Power Corp provided a commendable service. I was outside a couple of times at -25 during the day. There was a bit of a breeze. It was uncomfortable. I'd hate to be working outside. So kudos, they did a commendable job. This problem isn't of our local power corporation employees. It's the decisions that have been made by the power corporation management, decisions made by the GNWT over how the power corp is managed. And I think to a certain degree, the lack of, just a general lack of acceptance by the Power Corp that they're doing a piss poor job of managing this public and essential service. It's not a service, it is an essential service. And I think that unless the Power Corp does dramatic changes in how they manage the provision of this essential service, maybe it's time that it becomes part of the government operation. Airports are essential services. They're run by the Department of Infrastructure as a department. They're not committed to a cost recovery program. You look at water, it's been delegated down to municipalities. It's an essential services. It is also provided in a cost recovery program. You're not to make a profit on it. Power Corp are providing an essential service. They say it's cost recovery, but hell, and I've been starting to dig out the things. They're paying $500,000 minimum in bonuses to senior managers of the corporation. To me, that sounds like a for-profit type model of business. So I think I'm going to be putting it forward as a recommendation to come up at the NWTAC that the government do demand that the NTPC Power Corporation do a full organizational review and an efficiency to determine the efficiency and things like very similar to what we're currently doing here in the town of Fort Smith. This question did come up during a meeting on December 4th with the Thabasca Leadership Council, where they were asked, is this part of the process? Because the general public has the opinion that the Power Corp is a mismanaged, top-heavy bureaucracy and needs to be a more efficient organization. And their basic response to the community leadership was, well, the Public Utility Board does that as part of their assessment of our rate applications. That is total BS in the way of an answer. So I'll be bringing forward a recommendation at the next meeting for this to go forward as a resolution to the NWTAC that Power Corp be subject to a complete and full efficiency and functional operational audit.
Deputy Mayor, can I pass the chair to you?
I'll take the chair back.
You'll take it back?
Yeah.
I didn't know if you could while it was still your motion, I don't know. But
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. The motion is still.
The motion's still on the table, yeah.
But before you do that, I'd like to just add one comment to Mike's motion. Patrick
the
Mayor's
chair has
motion.
not yet recognized you, Deputy Mayor.
Well, you asked me if I would take it, I'd say I'd like to.
Okay, you're recognized.
The only thing, I like your motion, Councillor Coolbrith, in the sense of moving through the political channels. I'm not a major activist in the sense of they are still our only service provider, so we have to figure out a way to make this work. And when it's all over, the divorce isn't finalized, like, we have to work with these guys. So I'm not so much into shaming them or activating in that sense. I'm more in the sense of pushing pointedly. So I like your intervener letter that you've already written with the mayor. I saw that, actually Councillor Eaton shared it, I think, on our emails this week. Lots of questions there I'd love to see the answers to. I like your motion tonight. The only thing that's missing in all of it for me is, where is our MLA in all of this discussion? If we're going to go up, like in your motion even, it's go directly to the minister. Our voice in territorial government is our MLA, and for our community. And is he not, could we add that to your motion? Is that acceptable? Or, I guess that's where I'm coming from. He's our voice in Yellowknife, and we should empower him to speak for us. Please.
Councillor Corbett?
Yeah, I'm very amicable to adding that as part of the CC list.
Okay.
I would really encourage the mayor to expand it at her discretion.
Okay.
I just have one other comment in regards to Councillor Keiser's thing, is that the Power Corp is not the only show in town for local power distribution. Previous council had previously requested that a briefing note be prepared on the status of the franchise agreement between the town of Fort Smith and the Power Corporation. That was several previous years ago. Previous council, I think, would be most appropriate that maybe after this motion is a little bit, that we do put forward a motion that we have an update of the current status of the franchise agreement, which I believe is well due and expired. And we could always put out a request for proposals, much as the town of Hay River did, for people such as ATCO, NACA, or whatever they're called now, and for the Power Corp to bid on distributing power within the boundaries of the town of Fort Smith. And as part of that, we can start negotiating with them. If you want to be the distributor of power, here's what we want in exchange for you to have that privilege.
Can I pass the chair?
Yeah, I'll take it. Councillor.
I'm also 100% in agreement. It's just been years of poor quality service from the higher ups. Again, it's and nothing to do with boots on the ground here in town, but the power that we get is poorly distributed. The system can't handle it, and even if we do have power flowing through it, it's not good quality. The number of how many people have clocks on their ovens that tell the right time? Like, we lose power, we gain time, we lose time, we get brownouts. I've gone through a number of different electronic components. Just even this weekend, the school lost their freezer, and all the food they had in the freezer is rotten and going in the garbage. Where's the Power Corp's accountability in all of this? So I'm in full agreement with going political, with whatever tools that we have at our availability. I would not only like to have the answers to those questions, I would like a representative of the Power Corp of enough standing to appear before our town and answer them in person, not just to give us an email or we'll get back to you. I think they need to come here, and the minister in charge of the Power Corp should be here as well. That's just my suggestion.
Takes an invitation, that's all.
Yeah.
Carl? Councillor.
Thanks. Two things to note. So talking about meeting, the Cabinet Radio article today said that NTPC met with leadership in December. And I don't know if that's the meeting that I missed, or if they just had a chat with somebody, or if it was different leadership, but I was just, does anybody know anything about this?
Councillor Kuhlman, you were at that meeting, were you not?
Okay. Thank you. As many people in the community are aware, I do have a responsibility as the coordinator of the Nabacha Leadership Council. And the council did do an invite to the minister and the CEO of the Power Corporation to come and present to the Leadership Council. We gave them a letter with quite a few concerns, dealing with things such as the current state of affairs out at the Tolson Dam. When can we expect the part of that back in? We talked to them about upgrades to the local distribution system and things like that, and they provided some answers. I'm not satisfied that the community leadership was fully appreciative of the answers as provided, and that will be probably addressed by the leadership of what is their next step in a meeting coming up tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. And I guess my second comment kind of aligns with what Mike was saying about not the only show in town. I really think this is what's going to happen with the Power Corp is you look down anywhere in Alberta, Southern Canada, anywhere, there's solar panels on everybody's house, right? It's getting super cheap. The technology is getting better and better. So what's going to happen here? The people who can afford to do solar, and we've already seen it starting to happen in town, people who can afford it are going to start putting solar panels on to offset the power, generate their own power. And that's going to reduce the amount of income that Power Corp is going to get yet again. And now all of a sudden, you're going to have the people who can't afford solar being on the hook for supplying their own power, or just they're really trying their hardest to work themselves out of a market. I got to put a new roof on my garage in a few years. It's probably going to be solar. I got to build a rental income across the road. It's probably going to be solar, if not completely off grid. So what's going to happen in 10 years when solar is that much better again, and everybody's doing that instead of giving their money to the Power Corp? Then there's no market. They're still trying to do all this infrastructure with less and less income. It's not going to end well. So I think we're really in a tough place, and some of us are going to be in tougher places, the ones who can't afford it. So that's my big worry.
Any other comments before I ask about Councillor Coubret's, you had a motion out there, right, that we need to address?
Yeah.
It was a long one, I'm not going to be able to repeat it, but I remember you reading it.
Yeah, it was amended to include additional CCs.
Yeah. So, do we need okay.
So in my role as counselor, am I allowed to do hashtag activism? Like sending photos of us typing out letters in candlelight and tagging the minister and the president directly. They're all on social media, and it's all public, right? Classic letter writing campaigns from the community, like online petitions, email campaigns, what am I allowed to do as a counselor versus as a citizen?
We have a values and ethics policy that was passed.
I was trying to find, I don't have it on me. I think it's sitting on my
Probably
desk
have it
upstairs, so I was trying to find that.
I'll turn to Councillor Coubret.
Don't take this as a definitive answer, but I think so long as it's made quite clear in these posts and things that you're speaking as Patricia Heaton, citizen, versus Councillor Heaton. Make sure there's a very distinct parallel, because as Councillor Heaton, you're required to, your voice is to be presented by the mayor or the SAO as appropriate. They are the spokespersons for the mayor and council. But as Patricia Heaton, just as to be quite blunt, I was going to use an example. You look at MLA Karen Titsart. He does quite a few activism things as Kieran on his Facebook page.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's your question.
Yes.
Okay. So, back to my Councillor Couvert's motion. Do we need a second on that? Did we had
I
that?
have a first and a second. I have
Okay.
Counselor, makes motion, and Counselor Tucky as the seconder.
Does everybody remember the details enough of that motion to be comfortable to vote on it, or do you need it read again?
I think we're good.
Question? Call the question?
Call the question.
All in
Any
favor?
questions?
No, all in favor?
Oh, well, no, I'm making sure we're all ready to go. So we're good, so, yeah, is all in favor of the motion as Councillor Cougar represented? Any abstentions or nays? Oh, there you go, you're good. Councillor Cougar, I'll hand it back to you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. That was a very, hope Cabin Radio was tuned in, or CBC. Moving on, there was no other items under other business. The next item on our agenda is excusing of councillors. Can I have somebody present a motion or a recommendation?
I make a motion that we excuse Adam Bath and Mayor Ferguson.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Passed unanimous. Okay, the final stretch here. Date of the next meeting, the next Protective Services Standing Committee meeting will be February 4th, 2025. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
At 8 PM.
Ooh, we made up some time.
Are we off?
Second?
Daniel's got his finger in the air. Hang on.
Second?
All in favor?